Hey everybody, happy Friday. I hope that you had a good week so far and heading into a great weekend. Today I thought that I would divert from my two main subjects of dialysis and makeup boxes and tell you a little bit more about me. So I make top 5 lists for things sometimes. So I thought that a good way to show you guys a little bit of who I am and what I like would be to share some of these top 5 lists with you. So let's get started. My first one is my top 5 favorite animals. Now, one of the sweet things about this list is this was my first one I ever thought of in my head quite a few years ago. And my 11-year-old niece, she was a little girl at the time. And it was during that time that I started to get pretty sick. And her brother, my nephew, he and she would like draw me cards and send me cards, and my sister would put them in the mail. And they'd be, like, get well soon, we love you, all this stuff. And sometimes she would go onto one of the sides of the card and she would draw me drawings of all my top 5 animals that they were the last time that I talked to her about them, because they change sometimes. And one time she even put like my 6th and 7th animal on there, because I have like honorary mentions or ones that kind of go up and down on the list. And it was just the sweetest thing. And she's 11 now, so we don't really talk about favorite animals anymore, but it was a really sweet period that I got to enjoy with her. So my top 5 animals. Number 1 favorite animal is the panda. Pandas are amazing. It's not quite newborn pandas, because they don't have any fur. They're kind of like not adorable. But once they get their fur, up until when they're adults, like show me a video of pandas in the snow, rolling down a hill, sliding down a slide, like crawling on the zookeepers, eating bamboo, even just like laying there. And I am there for it. I love it. I'm in some Instagram groups and some Facebook groups that are just like adorable panda videos. I love them. So, second are elephants. Elephants are just, I've been mesmerized with them since I was a kid. And it's just learning about like the way they communicate with each other and the way that they know their family and treat each other. I read an article once that like when an elephant from the herd passes away and they've passed away, they're just there, the herd comes back and visits like the gravesite of that elephant for years, because it's one of their own. And I just thought, yeah, elephants are smart and they remember things. So I don't know, and baby elephants, like, oh, they're just like, they don't really quite know what to do with their big ears and like their trunk, and they're just kind of like wobbling around. It's adorable. It's adorable. They're like majestic. I can't even, they're just beautiful. Third is manatees. So manatees are one of those animals that are kind of so ugly that they're adorable. They just kind of like lounge in the water. They just kind of float underwater, come up sometimes, just slowly, like they don't really care about anything. They're just like, I'm just here, glub, glub, glub. And like I read about how they kind of like have like areas, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's like areas of like plankton or something that's kind of growing on them a little bit. Because like, what do they care? They don't care. They're fine. And I went on a vacation once a few years ago, and the place said that the ocean near the place we were staying, sometimes you could see manatees. I didn't see a manatee. So in my life, I still hope to go to a beach someday and go maybe out on a boat and see a manatee. One can hope and dream big. So, all right, not last, this is fourth, are penguins. So, not a huge fan of the cuteness of like emperor penguins or like adult penguins. This is definitely one where like the smaller and younger a penguin is, the cuter it is, because they're just like furry and just walking. Oh man, I don't know. I just love penguins. My oldest sister, when I was a little kid, she got me a little stuffed penguin, And he had shiny material. He was kind of shiny. I still have him to this day. His name is Tuxedo Sam, and he is my favorite stuffed animal that I own. I mean, penguins, I don't know. They're just amazing. Like, you watch, I remember when I was a kid, we watched like the penguin and the pebble and the penguin or whatever. And when I was a kid, I didn't really think about it. And as an adult, I realized it's actually like what happens. Like, they give like their mate a pebble. It's amazing. Penguins are awesome. They can't fly. So Joel and I were talking the other day about like penguins being birds because they can't fly, and that kind of sucks that like they're considered a bird, but we're like, you're a bird, but you can't fly. But we figured the wings that they have are probably really good for when they dive down into the ocean and helps them like go faster. So last on the list of top 5s right now are hedgehogs. Hedgehogs. This started a few years ago. I saw a group of pictures of a hedgehog, and it was just dressed in camping gear. And it had little hedgehog-sized tent, and a little hedgehog-sized camping chair, and little like grill, like a little like tiny little cooler case, and a little sleeping bag, a little fishing pole. And I was like, this hedgehog is like living like it's a person. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And now I just see random hedgehog videos or pictures, and there's one where it's like just people just holding hedgehogs, and they just like sprout open with like their little weird little coat of fur stuff. I just, they're beautiful. I think they're amazing. I don't know what is amazing about them, just like how cute they are. Yeah, they have their little nose with like their little eyebrows that are just kind of like that sometimes. Ugh. This next animal, this last one I'm going to talk about, I'm talking about this animal because if you were to talk to my family and maybe some of my friends, they might think that this animal is on my top 5. It is not. It is the sloth. So the sloth, I want to make clear, is not one of my favorite animals, but it is the animal that I probably relate to the most because I too am very slow. I don't always get a lot accomplished, and I would just really like to lay down all day long. And we were watching this documentary series on Netflix now. It's like the world's best national parks, and it is narrated by Barack Obama. And the first episode was wonderful. And in this episode, he does talk about sloths for a fast minute, but kind of sheds light on some of the not great characteristics of a sloth, which I'm like, that's not me at all. Because sloths will eat like one large leaf, and it'll take them a year to digest it. They have the slowest metabolism of any mammal. Also, they don't really bathe ever. Like once in not even a blue moon. That's probably more frequently than sloths like wash themselves. So they'll have like matted fur and like bacteria and like weird little organisms and like gnats and flies and bugs just living on them. I imagine like they stink. I did read once that they don't really have any predators because they smell so bad. So luckily I do not smell bad, and I take frequent showers. But other than that, I am a sloth. So favorite animals. There you go. My top 5 favorite movies. So my favorite movie of all time is The Shawshank Redemption. I watched the edited TNT version up until I was probably 25. So they are edited for length and for content because it's on TV. When I was about 25, I finally saw the real unedited version of The Shawshank Redemption. And I was like, Natalie, how on earth is this your favorite movie? Because some of the prison scenes and what gets done to Andy in the movie are very, very hard to watch and just awful. But then the redemption comes. And I remember that is why it's my favorite movie. It's beautiful. Also, Morgan Freeman is in it. And Morgan Freeman is my favorite actor. His voice is just so soothing. And I will also mention that he actually voiced or narrated The March of the Penguins, which is my favorite animal narrated documentary. So, Morgan Freeman. And Anyway, I went to see a showing of The Shawshank Redemption about 2 or 3 years ago at the theater because it was their 25th anniversary of it coming out. And I was like, what? This is amazing. It was awesome. It was me and like 2 other people. It was like having the movie theater to myself. So there you go. Second favorite on the list is Angels in the Outfield. This is more of a nostalgic entry on my top 5 list because my sister Claire and I, this would be the movie that we'd watch if it was raining or snowing or we had a sick day or a day off from school and we didn't have anything else to do. It's super, super corny. And I don't think I realized quite how corny it was when I was a kid. But as an adult thinking back about it, it's absolutely very corny. But sweet, and I love it. And it will always be on my top list just because, like, it's my childhood. You know, it has a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. It has Christopher Lloyd in it, and Tony Danza in it, and Danny Glover, a couple other people. It's just great. I just love it. I just love it. Next on the list is Stand By Me. Stand By Me is it's a movie about 4 like young teenage best friends that go on a journey to find something. I'm not going to tell you what it is or if they find it because it's a big spoiler. But it's also just a story about friendships and growing up and like right before you reach that age where you realize maybe some of your friends, like, you aren't really going to be friends forever. Like, you kind of, before you finally kind of start to realize, like, the friends you grew up with may not be meant to be your friends for the rest of your life. But you have this sweet, sweet moment in time when you have these best friends. And I remember that. Like, I remember being 12, 13 and, you know, coming home from school and calling up my best friend right away, even though I'd just seen her in school, and we'd talk for another like hour on the phone, or I'd call some of my friends during like a TV show, and we would be on the phone the whole time the show was on, only talking on commercials, but still there like when the show was on. I don't know how often it happens nowadays because we have like immediate like access to talking to all of our friends. But man, when I was like 12 or 13, yeah, those friendships, they were a different group of friendships than I had at any other time of my life. Random fact that I learned way too late in my life is that Stephen King wrote the novellas both for The Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me. I never would have thought, because I'm like, these are not horror stories. But interesting nonetheless. So, 4th favorite movie on the list. I really loved The Sixth Sense. And I feel like that might be really like a textbook favorite movie of somebody, but I feel like it was one of the first movies that I remember seeing that had that twist that really made you think and really made you sad. But it just sticks in your head, and it kind of ties with my 5th favorite movie, which is Shutter Island, which is also like a movie that comes with a big twist. So the thing about these two is that they're like thrillers almost, but they're psychological thrillers. I am not at all a fan of thriller horror movies. Like, I don't want to see gore and murder and bloody like axes and hacking people. Like, for instance, no disrespect to Quentin Tarantino in the slightest. I know he's very talented and very well respected, and I respect him and his work. It's not my cup of tea. I've seen a few of his movies, and I can get behind the storylines and the plots and stuff, but I don't like having to sit in a movie and watch it and like have to be like this for part of it, where it's just like so gruesome. I can't even take it. And it's weird because, like I said in some of my other videos, like I'm cool with all sorts of medical stuff, like medical like procedures and like blood like that and stuff. But like when it comes to like hacking people to death, no thank you. It's not my favorite. But these two, like, I love the ones that just like make you think and make you look back over the movie the next time you watch it and be like, oh, I didn't know it, but that definitely meant that this twist was coming. So, favorite movies. I think the last one I'm going to do is my favorite TV shows, just because I don't want this to get too long, and I can always do another one later on at some point. But favorite TV shows. So I would say, rather than favorite TV show for number 1, it's my favorite series, and it is 100% Law & Order. So I started watching Law & Order, I think when I was 13, or 14. I was with my sister Margie for the first few episodes I ever watched, and she explained it to me. And she said, Law and Order, it follows like a plan, and it is, crime. Well, the original Law and Order, it started with like them discovering a crime and Lenny Briscoe saying some sort of like witty one-liner. But then it would be like the investigation, and then the trial, and then a twist. And sometimes the twist came like during the trial, sometimes it came right after the investigation, but it was always there because it's never who you think it is right off the bat. And it remains true as I've kept that in my head as I watched all these Law and Orders in my life. I am a fan of all the Law and Orders, like Law and Order Original, Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Law and Order Organized Crime, which is their newest one. And then they just revamped like the original Law and Order and started that. So I'm here for that too. I just love all of them. I just love all of them. And that's always going to be number one. Second on the list is The West Wing. Now, I was pretty young when this started airing because I think it began in 1998. So I was pretty young back then. And I didn't really get into it until about 2015-ish. I had to take a hiatus from work because I was pretty sick. So my sister lent me the whole box set of the whole series. And two of my sisters, it's their favorite show too. And they would talk about it and I would just be like, you guys were nerds, whatever. And then I started watching it and I immediately understood. Like within the first 2 or 3 episodes, I was hooked. And The West Wing, like all shows have like their intro song or whatever. Like Law and Order has their dun dun, and we all know what that means. The West Wing has like this beautifully musical intro, and it's like big and broad and it's just presidential, and they play it and it's just like, oh man, I love it so much. But even just that show and its storylines and its president and his family and the whole West Wing staff, they just go together like a beautiful harmonious choir. And the show is like, it will make you laugh, some of it will make you cry, and I think it is, as a series, like objectively, it may always rank higher than Law and Order, like on like critics lists and stuff. To me, Law and Order is Law and Order, but West Wing, man, it is a beautiful series. I fast watched it the month before it left Netflix. Like they had the whole series for a while and then it left, so I fast watched it, and that was a great rewatch as well. Even though I had to do it real fast, I didn't mind. But yeah, that West Wing. So the next 3 and 4, the next 2, 3 and 4 are kind of basic. Like it's The Office and Parks and Recs. And I was talking about this. I don't remember who I was talking about it with, but it's like I have to be in a certain mood to want to watch The Office or Parks and Rec, and it's never the same mood. So I'm torn, like which one do I want to watch? Because it's either this or this, depending on my mood. But both of them, it's just, they're just classic comedies. Maybe not classics for people that are older than me, but for me being a teenager in like the 2010s and stuff, like it's comedic gold. I know that, at least I know like The Office probably wouldn't fly nowadays, but at the same time back then, I don't know. The character development of some of them, and I agree with a lot of people where The Office wasn't quite as good after Michael left, but there were still plenty of good scenes and episodes after he left. And Parks and Rec, I feel like, just got better as time went on. Like, my best friend Emily and I, we give each other like Leslie Knope and Perkins compliments a lot. So it'll be like, you are such like a beautiful, noble land mermaid. Or you're an intelligent, wonderful, gorgeous musk ox. Or, you're a sparkly sunfish just gathering more intelligence and beauty as you lay in the sun. It's just stuff like that. And there's a whole list of them you can find on the internet. And I just go through the list and say them to Emily. And it's just that friendship goals, right? So, and then last on my list is Criminal Minds. I started watching Criminal Minds probably about the 5th season in, and I backtracked and watched all of them. And the first couple seasons, like, it was a little rocky, in my opinion. I really got hooked on it because it had Shamar Moore in it, who was in, when I was growing up as a kid, I would watch Young and the Restless with my mom, Like if I was home from school or we had days off from school, I would sometimes sit and watch it with her, and he was on it when I was younger. So I was like, oh, I know that guy. All right. So his name was Malcolm in Young and the Restless, by the way. So he's what really hooked me. But then, you know, by a few seasons in, like the crimes are terrible. It's about serial killers, and it's not happy storylines ever. But just like the teamwork and the team camaraderie and the loyalty to each other, and like the side stories about their lives intertwining with each other and what happens. You know, by the last season, I was sad to see it go off the air, as were a lot of people. So yeah, so that is on. It's on one of the cable networks that I somehow get through the antennas on my TV. It's on like all day, one day of the week. And if I'm not doing anything that day, it'll be on. I won't always be actively watching it, but it'll be on in the background. It's just kind of like, I like their voices. I don't know. So those are the top 5 or the top 4 top 5 lists that I have. I don't know if it's a super weird thing that I have top 5 lists or that I share them with people, but I don't mind. I like it. And it's fun to like find new things and be like, does this replace something on my list? I'm not sure yet. So like right now I'm watching a show called Wentworth on Netflix, and it's based out of an Australian women's prison, and it is wonderful. There are 8 seasons. I'm just about to finish season 6. And in my opinion, it has just kept getting better. Like I'm sad about some things and some characters that have left, but like overall, I am hooked. I am like, what is going to happen next? And I don't predict it very well. So I mean, that could very well like replace something on my list. I don't know. These are not set in stone things, but that's just to kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse into some different things that I like, and maybe give you more of a broad picture of who I am. So anyway, today, like I said, it is Friday, and that means in a couple hours, I'm going to be driving up to meet up with my sister. We're going to go out to dinner, and then we're going to go see John Mulaney. And as excited as I was in my last video, like it's just grown. It's just grown through the week. And I can't believe it's actually here. It's like I first heard about this in December, and it seemed like April was forever and a day away. And now it's today, and I cannot believe it. So I'm going to say I hope I have a great time, but I already know that I'm going to. So thank goodness for sisters that know me well enough to know that this is going to be the best present in my entire life. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, everybody. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time.